Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alex Fines, and I'm one of the research directors here at Chatham House. I'm delighted to be chairing this meeting. Today we have His Excellency President Kikwete, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, talking about Tanzania's Transformation and Vision 2025, Governing Economic Growth for Social Gain. What's particularly impressive is that in my time at Chatham House, this is the second time that President Kikwete has agreed to speak at the Institute. I was in the audience last time, listened very attentively to the President's presentation, and it's really excellent that His Excellency has agreed to come and speak again today. This meeting is on the record. It's not under the famous Chatham House rule, so those of you who want to note take, please feel free to do that. But I would like to ask if you could put your mobiles on silent. You don't necessarily have to turn them off, but do put them on silent so that we're not disturbed. The plan is that His Excellency will speak for about 25 minutes, and after that we'll have a floor open for questions and discussions. If it's anything like when His Excellency last spoke, there was robust debate and discussion, which is always what Chatham House is about, and why I'm doubly impressed that His Excellency decided that he enjoyed that experience and came back to talk here again at Chatham House. So, Excellency, I want to invite you to go to the podium to present your Vision 2025, Tanzania's Transformation. And thank you and welcome again to Chatham House.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, Tanzania's development aspirations are outlined in Tanzania Development Vision 2025, which was developed in the late 1990s to guide economic and social development efforts up to the year 2025. It is envisaged that by 2025, Tanzania will have transformed into a middle-income country characterized by high-quality livelihood, peace, stability, and unity, good governance, a well-educated and learning society, a competitive economy capable of producing sustainable growth and shared benefits, and a diversified, semi-industrialized economy with a substantial industrial sector. Between 2009 and 2011, we reviewed the vision to assess its implementation status. During the review, the urgent need to address implementation challenges in the areas of prioritization as well as monitoring and evaluation were underscored. The review also indicated that to reach the desired status of a middle-income country with a nominal per capita income of $3,000 within the 15 years remaining would require strategic socio-economic transformation. Socio-economic transformation, as we understand it, entails generating an increasing share of output and employment from high productivity industrial and service activities with less reliance on the traditional low productivity, mainly agrarian activities. This transformation will manifest itself in declining shares of primary sector, mostly agriculture, and in total national output and employment, and a rise in shares of manufacturing and services over time. The economy will grow faster as the manufacturing and services sector, which are relatively more knowledge and technology intensive, grow faster than the primary, mainly the agricultural activities. With reduced population growth rates, either due to increased access to quality education or with GDP growth growing faster than the population growth rates, per capita income will increase, thereby reducing poverty. As this transformation process goes on, many other important poverty reduction initiatives that we have been pursuing in Tanzania will continue. In short, Tanzania's socio-economic transformation will follow the four typical processes. One, a decline in the share of agriculture in GDP and employment. Two, a rise of a modern industrial and service economy. Three, growth in urbanization. And four, a demographic transition from high rates of birth and death rates to low rates as a result of improved education and health services. Ladies and gentlemen, our expectations are such that come 2025, the contribution of the agricultural sector to GDP will have been reduced from the 2010 base level of 27.8% to 20.7%. Industrial sector's contributions will rise from 24.4% to 30.7%. And that of services sector will reach 48.6%, up slightly from its 2010 proportion of 47.8%. This transformation requires that between 2010 and 2025, the agricultural sector grows at an annual average rate of 6%. Industrial sector grows at 9.2%, led by the manufacturing sector, which needs to grow at an annual rate of 13%. And the service sector, which needs to grow at an annual rate of 13%. And the services sector grows by 8%. This will be in contrast to the average annual growth rates of 4%, 8%, 8.8%, 4.4%, 8.8%, and 7.5% for agriculture, industries, and services, respectively, in the previous 10 years. Adoption of new production techniques driven by development in ICT will lead to increased productivity and output of the sectors. Ladies and gentlemen, the transformation described above requires that Tanzania takes deliberate steps to organize and use its resources strategically and coordinate the activities of various players towards that end. This calls for establishment of a strong framework to facilitate strategic, beyond the horizon thinking, systematic development planning, and sound implementation and follow-up mechanisms. It is for this reason that the government of Tanzania reverted to long and medium-term planning and formulated a long-term perspective plan, 2011 to 2025, which is divided into 3 5-year development plans. Each plan has a theme to underpin the thrust and priority to underpin thrust and priority interventions. The first 5-year plan spans from the period of 2011 to 2015. The second 5-year plan spans from 2015 to 2020, and the third from 2020 to 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, while the first 5-year plan focuses on addressing constraints to growth, the second 5-year plan will focus on transforming the country's resources through development of the industrial sector. The emphasis will be on natural gas-based industries, agro-processing industries, and medium technology industries. In the third 5-year plan, Tanzania's development focus will be on improving the competitiveness in all sectors, especially the manufacturing and the service sectors. The improvement in competitiveness will facilitate export-oriented growth and significantly increase Tanzania's share of regional and international trade. Ladies and gentlemen, the first 5-year plan has the theme Unleashing Tanzania's Latent Growth Potentials. It outlines and costs a number of interventions aimed at addressing Tanzania's growth constraints. These interventions are designed to ensure that 5 crucial elements needed to generate the required growth momentum are in place. First, large investments in energy and transport infrastructure to address infrastructure bottlenecks. Second, strategic investments in agriculture and manufacturing to increase productivity, agro-processing and value addition, foodstuffs, textile industry. high-value crops like horticulture, floriculture, vineyards, food self-sufficiency and exports for maize and rice, fertilizer production, tapping the large natural gas and phosphate-based deposits, development of special economic zones to foster manufacturing growth, increase the number of cement factories, as well as the development of coal and the steel industries. 3, enhancing skills profile of our people. 4, improving the business environment. And 5, institutional reforms for an effective implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of the plan. Ladies and gentlemen, these interventions are undertaken in a way that aims to sustain the following sectoral transitions. Agriculture to increase its average annual growth rate from 4.4% to 6%. Manufacturing from 8% to 12.1%. Industry from 8.6% to 9.4%. And the service sector, services from 7.5% to 7.8% in the period covered by the 5-year development plan. In order to establish a strong, effective system to oversee, monitor, and evaluate the implementation of its development plans, particularly the first 5-year development plan, the government introduced the concept of big results, now BRN initiative, based on Malaysia's big, fast results approach. The initiative hinges on prioritization, detailed implementation, and monitoring tools, as well as accountability for performance. In this regard, therefore, 6 sectors were identified and prioritized as the national key result areas. These include agriculture, transport, energy, water, education, and resource mobilization. The identified national key result areas were subjected to intense problem-solving methodology. We called it laboratory in the sense that the problems are thoroughly diagnosed by stakeholders, their causes identified, and ways of resolving them are clearly defined. The outcome of labs are subjected to public scrutiny through an open day, where the public is invited to see, study, and give comment. Attendant key performance indicators identified were made public on relevant national websites. The impact of the Big Results Now initiative will be felt as the resulting initiatives are implemented through the annual development plans, which are also channels through which the first 5-year development plans are being implemented. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, I have been asked also to respond to the question, how will a middle-income Tanzania look like? I must say at the outset that there is no straightforward answer to the question. This is because today's middle-income countries are a very diverse group in terms of population, country size, and income levels. Some countries are small, with small populations like Belize. Others are large in area, but have small population like Botswana. While still others like Brazil, India, and China are very large in area, population, and income levels. With an area of 945,000 square kilometers, Tanzania holds enormous untapped natural resources and geographic advantages. Our country is projected to have a population of 63.6 million by 2025. We'll have crossed into the gross national income range of today's lower middle income countries of between $1,036 to $4,085 per capita. Then Tanzania will be a country where abject poverty will have been eradicated, with improved social provisioning, including housing and social security coverage, better education and health services in rural and urban areas, better urban settlements, and greatly improved distribution and quality infrastructure, including road network, electricity, digital outreach, financial services, railways and seaports, serving landlocked countries. The manufacturing sector is said to have acquired reckonable competitive advantage, producing high knowledge and technology content output. The sector will be capable of processing a large part of our natural resources, including crops, leather, fisheries, honey, forestry products, minerals, and natural gas. The natural gas and petrochemical industries will be playing a significant role. Diversification of the economic sources of livelihood will continue to be one of the key policy objectives. This is important in order to ensure sustainability of economic prosperity. It is true that today's middle-income countries as a group will face diverse levels of challenges in some essential services as well as corruption and governance issues. Tanzania can be expected to keep on perfecting work in those areas too, cooperating with other countries in tackling any remaining elements of such critical global issues as climate change, food and water security, and global trade. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, Tanzania has been a key player in sub-Saharan Africa region in many ways. It is a natural resource-rich country in terms of agriculture, wildlife, fisheries, minerals, natural gas, geography, long coastline with natural harbors and inland waterways, surrounded with landlocked countries. The country has enjoyed political stability for over 50 years since independence of mainland Tanzania, Tanganyika in 1961, and the revolution in Zanzibar in 1964, and for 50 years since the union between Tanganyika and Zanzibar that gave birth to the United Republic of Tanzania on the 26th of April, 1964. These are important assets for current and future economic prosperity of our country. Given these assets, Tanzania has a great potential to become a key player in the region as a transit trade hub, regional major supplier of goods and services, and a major market. More specifically, Tanzania will continue to forge excellence in the infrastructure for regional and transit trade, leveraging all transport modes as well as the national ICT broadband backbone. It will also become a regional breadbasket, given the agricultural potentials, including exporting surplus maize, paddy, sugar, meat, and other food products. Last but not least, Tanzania will continue tirelessly to work for peace and stability and prosperity of the East African community and SADC region. We will continue to be a proactive player in peace brokering in the region and participate in peacekeeping missions of the United Nations and the African Union. Mr. Chairman, I think I can stop there. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much. You want some water, sir? Excellency, thank you very much. You've outlined the vision for 2025, including 5 key elements that you see for takeoff for Tanzania to become middle income. I'd just like to remind the audience, the President mentioned the importance of dealing with infrastructure bottlenecks. That was priority number 1. He also mentioned the importance of agro-processing and building up industry, enhancing skills, better education, clearly enabling a conducive business environment, and finally, institution building. You've heard His Excellency. He's outlined the Vision 2025, the opportunities as well as the challenges. This is your opportunity now to ask His Excellency questions about what's on your mind about how Tanzania can reach middle income by 2025. So who would like to start? I will just tell you we have roving microphones, so please don't speak till you get a microphone, and also do try and keep your question sharp and focused. So the first hand that went up
that I saw is this gentleman here. Can we send a microphone just down here? You, sir, with the red tie there. Thank you. Do tell us who you are also. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm William Kapuku from Metropolitan Police, Counter-Terrorism and Scotland Yard. The President has spoken about socio-economic transformation, and we all know that the development depends on security. The Great Lake region is experiencing some troubles, such as the war in DRC, which is supported by neighboring countries, according to the United Nations. Also, we all know that the internet has improved the human life. However, there are people that are using internet technologies to commit or facilitate the commission of crimes. I would like to know the agenda of the President and of his government as well with regard to cybercrime, cyber terrorism, also with regard to the security of the Great Lake region. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to take a couple more questions and then have His Excellency. So let's whiz to the gentleman there with the very bright yellow tie. Lovely tie. You, sir.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Peter Jem. I'm the Vice President of the UK-China Business Association. Last December, UK Prime Minister David Cameron went to China. He proposed to Chinese government lead to build up some kind of UK-China-Africa infrastructure partnership. And I'm particularly interested to know is any like a hospital or that kind of health care facility we can bring from the UK and also China to help your country to build that kind of a facility in Tanzania.
Can you repeat? It's something fascinating.
Yeah. Because last December, I accompanied the UK Prime Minister David Cameron to visit China. It's a stay-home visit. And in that time, David proposed to Chinese government can build up UK-China-Africa infrastructure partnership. So that means bring the UK healthcare or infrastructure management resource with Chinese funding facility to work some project in Africa. So far, my team in Africa, we already work on 7 hospitals in Sudan, in Ghana, in Nigeria. So I'm quite interested to know whether your country need more hospital. We can bring some resource from China and UK to work with you.
Yeah. Excellency, there's another kind of point in that question, I think, which is the importance or possibilities of triangulation. So UK, China, Tanzania. If I remember right, there is already some projects, including on one of the gas pipelines, that is a triangulated arrangement. But the interesting question. I'm going to look right over at this far end of the room. Any questions right in the front here? No. Okay. You, sir. Please. There's a microphone coming just here, and then we'll get His Excellency to respond. Do tell us who you are.
Yes, Rayunga Kazaura, Standard Chartered Bank. The question is the big results now and the agenda of the government seems to be a right focus type of approach. What I wanted to know, in terms of the investments which will be required to drive this, is the government looking at introducing bonds such as infrastructure development bonds so that foreign investors can actually pump in liquidity into the Tanzanian economy to help accelerate the big results now agenda?
Thank you very much. Excellency, 3 questions on the table for you. You've also, of course, got the best brains in Tanzania in the front row here, if you want any of them to answer.
William, socioeconomic transformation development depends on security. The region faces war in the DRC. First, I agree with you that where there is assured security, growth fosters better. where there is insecurity, people spend a lot of their time trying to save their necks and lives instead of concentrating on development. Of course, we in the region have been preoccupied with the challenges of instability. What I can simply say is that the Great Lakes region has had an unfair share of conflicts. Because poor as we are, we should have been concentrating more on our development challenges rather than fomenting conflicts and wars within the region or within our countries or outside our countries. Of course, that's why we, as I said in my concluding remarks, Tanzania has always been in the forefront of trying to promote peace in the region. We have worked in many of these countries, and well, in some we succeed, some we don't. And of course, right now we have committed our troops in the the Force Intervention Brigade in the DRC that has worked with South Africa and Malawi to deal with the problem of the M23. We are now, our troops are now working to deal with the rebel groups from the neighboring countries, the Allied Democratic Forces, ADF NALU from Uganda, and FDLR. Of course, after that, probably, it depends upon what the United Nations is going to say, our troops may be taking on some of the rebel groups that are Congolese based. What are the plans with regard to cybercrime and terrorism in the Great Lakes region? Of course, we are aware of cybercrime and how the internet can also facilitate acts of terrorism in the region. We are building capacities. You know, these are new advancements and we have not yet built enough capacity, but we have been working with a number of friendly nations, the UK being one of them, in building our own capacity to deal with cybercrime and terrorism that based on or being facilitated by the internet. Last December, you accompanied the Prime Minister to China, and you talked of China, UK, China, Africa. Do you need more hospitals? The answer is emphatically yes. We are building capacities. You know, developing the health sector is one of the major challenges that we face. Of course, infant mortalities are high. Thank God at least we worked so hard, we've been able now to meet the MDG target with regards to child mortality. But we are still grappling with maternal mortality. Of course, we've seen reduction in numbers, but not good enough. But the scourge of malaria, we've done a lot in the area. We have seen death cut by half. But we still have the non-communicable diseases that are now killing many people. Diabetes, blood pressure, heart-related diseases, and others. So we are trying to build capacities. And one area of weakness we have is we have very few doctors. The ratio of doctor to patient in Tanzania is 1 to 30,000. The ratio of nurse to patient is 1 to 23,000. So, of course, one of the interventions that we're making is really build more education facilities. At least the good thing about us is that we have the young men and women who have the qualifications to become medical doctors. So what we're doing is building the training facilities. We've already built a new medical college in Dodoma, which can take 5,000 students. We are now embarking on building another one in Dar es Salaam that will take another 12,000 students. That should be able to help us build capacity in that one. But we also need hospitals. hospitals. We send many of our people to India for treatment, which otherwise could be handled in the country. With the support of China, we have built a heart hospital now. It can take 100 patients. But neurosurgical cases and other. So, well, if we can get your contact, we can talk about that privately. That I say you're the best person I've met today. And you underscored, of course, the requirement of triangulate partnership. That's important. If we can get this partnership, the UK, China, and Africa, that is highly welcome to us. Reyung Kazaura spoke of BRIN in terms of investments. Do you consider introducing bonds? It's a matter that we've been contemplating. There was a time we were about to float bonds for infrastructure development, and then came the financial crisis, the financial crunch, and the economic slowdown. We stopped. I think now we've started working on that one. It's something that we are giving serious consideration. The Minister of Finance is here, probably. Do you have anything to say?
Can we get a microphone up for the Minister of Finance? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kazara, for the question. Yes, we are really working on that. And actually, we just, like the President said, we just wanted it to be like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. But actually, there are challenges around the world. But now, the Minister of Finance is coordinating that process under his policy analysis department. Where we are now is that we have already completed procurement process. We actually have 2 companies, corporation, Moody's and Fitch, for the work. But then there were kind of misinformation about what are their requirements and our requirements. So we actually have really to work it together so that we can go further process. Another thing that we have to do is to procure international legal advisor on the board. And we are on final stages of really putting that information on the internet. Please, if you are interested also, you have to apply for that. It's an internationally application. And then there we go. I think we do hope that we have that thing in place sometimes next year. It is our ambition, really. Infrastructure is our priority for the BRN to really come into result. Thank you.
That's expert explanation.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Minister. Let's get another round of questions. I haven't asked anyone on this side, so the lady there, you, please do tell us who you are.
Hi, my
Yeah,
name is Aneth Rasood. I work as a legal and compliance officer at Investec Bank. I wanted to understand His Excellency's views on dual nationality. As a young female who grew up in the UK, one of the things I've struggled with is sort of the fact that I have to go back home as a British national. And I just wanted to understand where you stand, or where Tanzania stands on that.
You are from?
I'm from Zanzibar.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's, gentleman, sorry. Yeah, you with the pen just there, sir. No, right there, purple shirt.
Edward from Bloomberg News. Alex mentioned the gas pipeline, and I believe you need more gas pipelines because there are great resources found offshore. But I know that there were also protests against construction of gas pipelines, and I wonder how you're going to mitigate this in the future.
There was what?
Protests.
Yeah.
Okay.
So local
And
population
tomorrow.
were protesting. So, and I believe with the development of the industry, there will be more infrastructure, obviously, and there will be probably more protests. So, what are you going to do to solve this problem? Thank you.
Okay. And, right, where are the roving microphones? Right back there, the lady right back there. We've still got plenty of time.
Good afternoon. My name is Neka Chikiobi. I work for AgDevco. We are an impact investor focused on African agricultural businesses. My question is about, you mentioned agro-processing. In our experience, there is quite a lot of potential for agriculture in Africa, but the missing area is commercialization of agriculture. We've seen a few countries that want to push forward in agro-processing, and a few white elephants where there's a processing facility and no feedstock because there's no commercial production of the product. So my question is just, what is His Excellency's government working on to promote the commercialization of agriculture so that we can increase productivity? Thank you.
There you go. 3 questions.
Okay. Dual nationality, where do you stand, Mr. President? Well, I've always been supportive of introduction of dual nationality in the country. I remember at some point I had asked my Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Membe, to do a sensitization act, talk about it in the media and see how they're going to respond. The reaction was mixed. Some were saying, they left on their own. What do they want? So this has been the reaction. They decided to go outside, let them stay there. But of course, we see a lot of merit in facilitating that one. We are now undertaking a constitutional review process. In the first draft, there was no reference to it. In fact, yesterday I met Tanzanians based in the UK. They raised that matter. I said, the problem you had was that nobody, because the commission was waiting for views. And you guys were not proactive enough to raise the matter. So when they did a tallying of the various issues raised, this one was not there. So I said, so when we got the first draft, when it came to our party as an institution, we again put the matter. Put the matter of dual citizenship. So it has been included in the second draft, but not as elaborate as it should be. So yesterday, what I was saying yesterday to the Tanzanian diaspora, that includes you, is to be proactive. Talk about it. In the past, it was not easy. There was only telex. But now with the ICT development, with the blogs, you can just organize, pitch for it. We are there. We've been talking about it. Of course, now we have entered the crucial stage. The Constituent Assembly now is actually the actual drafting of the Constitution. We'll again talk about it, but if it would be useful if you also raise your voices. That's what I can say. Bloomberg News, protests. What do you do to mitigate this issue? Well, indeed, there was that. And it was really based on a misconception that gas should remain in the place where it is being produced. And if industries have vowed to be there, so we asked them, look here, now we want to sell this gas to England. You mean the factories in England should come and be based here? It is never done. So we had ready to do a lot of explaining, and that don't make it conditional, that this gas should not get out of our place and all development should take place here. We'll not sell it in the world. We cannot say that all the factories in China should come to Mtwara. Everybody in the UK, everybody else all over the world who wants to use Tanzania's gas should come there and locate that business there. Gas is being used for heating. Do we move all the homes that would require the gas to the place? So essentially, it was a misconception. It was a misconception. I'm glad we have gone past that. We've gone past that. We did a lot of education, and the construction of the pipeline is ongoing well now. And we gave them the assurance that when that gas goes, there's going to be a lot of activity in the area. There are already 65 factories. They are already planned. The regional commissioner is there. what is in the plan there for the area?
Can we have a microphone here, please? Just bring it to the Commissioner. Thank you.
Excellency, as you said, it was a question of miscommunication. People didn't understand, and they thought actually nothing was going to happen in Mtwara. But now they see there is the biggest cement factory in Tanzania is being built. There's a big power station coming on stream. There is talk of putting a petrochemical industry cluster. So things are happening, and people are getting to understand what's going on. And so we have.
So actually, it was a misconception that they are going to lose out. We say, no, you're not lose out. At least what is possible will be done, but we cannot say that this gas cannot come out, and whoever wants to use the gas should go there. So then we will not sell it to anybody, because we cannot move the whole world to your place. So I think, and of course, politicians are always crafty, Times there are ways of trying to solicit votes, and you hype something, create fears that are not there. Agro-processing, missing link here is the commercialization of agriculture. I agree with you that with commercialization of agriculture, you will have enough production that would ensure enough feed of raw materials to the factories. We have had that experience with the cashew nut industry in the past. But these are factories that were built with the advice of the World Bank. We took a loan. We built 12 factories to end up with not enough raw material. There was a time I was Minister of Finance, and we had to pay the loan to the World Bank. And we were saying, but what happened? Then we were told, but why did you accept it? We said, fine. But so that's why we're investing a lot on the production side, on the agricultural sector. But we still have a lot of raw materials, for example, for the textile industry, for the leather industry. We have over 20 million heads of cattle. The leather industry. So there are a number of agricultural manufacturing processes that have enough raw material already. And we are cognizant of that fact, Madam, and we are modernizing our agricultural sector in order to produce enough. But we think we already have a critical mass to be able to establish a number of the agro-processing industries in the country, in the food processing industry, in many areas. I want to give you that assurance, but thank you for the observation. We've taken note.
Okay, let's get another round of questions. Right at the back of the room.
Thank you. Patrick Smith from Africa Confidential. Mr. President, you mentioned the constitutional review process that's going on at the moment. It also happens at the same time as your country's developing pretty vast gas resources. I wondered what your view on the constitutional status quo was with regard to those resources and with regard to the political relationship between the mainland and Zanzibar. Do you think, as many people seem to, that it's time to change that historic relationship between the mainland and Zanzibar, and particularly with the view to the development of gas resources around Zanzibar and around the mainland, whether you think the people of Zanzibar should get a better cut, a better percentage of the wealth that those gas resources generate, as has been the demand in many parts of the world, such as the Niger Delta and so on.
Thank you very much. Another question. Right down here. This side of the room's been very quiet up to now.
My name is Eric Michael Ago, and I'm from Mercury TV. I have two questions.
One, please. One.
Mr. President, you've elaborated a very beautiful picture in terms of the economy of Tanzania and where you want to take the country to. But many believe that African countries have got a problem when it comes to their own currencies, where the currencies can fluctuate. So most investors or businessmen living in the continent of Africa are looking at dollarization. So prices are now priced in dollars instead of the local currency. What is your government doing to make sure that people living in that country will be more geared towards using the shillings than the dollars?
Thank you very much. Good question. And the gentleman right here, if we can move across. No, the gentleman next to you. But I'll ask you first, sir.
Thank you.
Tell us who you are.
My name is Joseph Ocheno. I write for New African, and I'm a friend of CCM. Mr. President, Mr. President, I'm suitably impressed by your program today, and I just wonder, on the basis of some of the issues that you've just raised, where do you see 2025 vision within the context of a broader East Africa, and what do you see as the major obstacle, particularly to the wider economic integration for the region?
Can you just pass the microphone to the gentleman next to you?
At long last.
Please, sir.
At long last. Thank you very much indeed, at long last. One, I think...
Can you just introduce yourself, please?
My name is Justin Bahunga.
Thank you.
Originally, I come from Rwanda. I'm now living in Britain. I'm a British now. But I'd like to say I would do wrong if I didn't, first of all, thank the leadership of Tanzania. Coming from Rwanda. One, that's one of the rare countries in Africa where there is peaceful competition for access to power, but also people living in power without changing the constitution. I think that I would feel bad if I didn't say that. Second point is, of course, I'd be selfish to say there is in the West a saying that development should come before human rights. Food on the table before human rights comes in. And particularly freedom of expression and the freedom of association. And is your view that, is it true that actually this would be the case? The second part of it.
What is it?
What is
that
the question?
Human rights, I mean that development should precede human rights.
Okay, thank you.
What do you think and especially, is it true that there's three pillars of Tanzania, peace, national unity, and security, are they undermined, people say, by human rights issues? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Excellency.
Development should precede human rights.
Right.
And the three pillars are undermined by human rights?
Yeah.
Heavily loaded question.
Indeed.
Okay. The Vision 2025 in relation to the wider East Africa integration process. I think the aim is to feed into it, because the integration is economic integration, is getting access to the market. We are creating a wider market, a pan-East African market. He who develops the products to sell in the market benefits. He who doesn't have the products to sell benefits nothing from it. So we are seeing the Vision 2025 as where we are removing the constraints to our growth, promoting greater growth, producing more goods and services for the market. We are well placed. If we succeed in developing this, well, Tanzania will be one of the giant economies in East Africa, if not the giant economy in the region. Peaceful competition to power. You praised us for the orderly transition to power. I also thank God that we are that way and pray that we remain that way. I'll be leaving office next year. I'm excited about the idea of leaving office. I've played my part. In those 10 years, I've had an opportunity to serve. Well, I've been able to produce. I've been able to do what I could do. I will not do everything. President Nyerere was there for 23 years. He did not finish the job. My two predecessors were there for 10 years. I've also had the opportunity of serving for 10 years. I'll have played my part. Come October next year, I'll be a retired public servant. There's something else that I can do. Retire to my farm, look after my chickens and goats, and do anything else that I'm going to do. Of course, I'm proud of the way things are going in the country, and pray that we remain that way for many years to come, because Africa is full of surprises. You never know, but I hope we'll not get the surprise of some people intervening and interrupting that beautiful process. Well, the view that development should be preceded by human rights, is it a chicken and egg question? So you develop and brutalize your people at the same time? No, that's not acceptable. I think that's not acceptable. Because you can develop without brutalizing your people. You can develop without brutalizing your people. You becoming dictatorial. But I don't subscribe to that idea. That's what I can answer.
And there was the question by Patrick Smith, Excellency.
Yeah.
And also the one on the Patrick Smith of Africa Confidential was about the constitutional reform, the relationship with Zanzibar.
Oh, yeah. Constitutional reform, I took the last three. Yeah. The constitutional reform, with regards to gas. You know, our country has evolved. In our structure, two countries came together into a union in 1964. And there are issues that are union issues, union matters, and there are issues that are internal matters of the two partner states that joined together into. So among the issues that were union matters, they have been listed in the Constitution. We began with 11, and then we increased that number to 22 over time. The last item was included was in 1992. So between and the first item was added in 1968, I think. No,
65.
65. They did 1965. After the breakup of the East African Currency Board, and each country now had to have own currency, own central bank. That was first item was added in 1965. And then the last one was added in 1992. A lot of those items, actually, 9 of those items were very much related to the problems within the East African community. When you had the problems of the East African Currency Board, then each country had to do it. When we had the breakup of the East African University, each country had to deal with your own higher education. The breakup of the National Examinations Council, each country had to create a National Examinations Council, East African Examinations Council, so that's it. And then when Tanzania mainland built the refinery in 1963 and completed in 1966, and the refinery was capable of importing all the oil, all the crude oil, processing all the crude oil to provide for the country, then oil and gas became a union matter. But we have come to a point where now the refinery is no more. The importation of oil and gas is a private sector venture. Our two governments agreed to remove this item being a union matter. But of course, at the same time, the union government was given the responsibility of overseeing exploration for gas and oil. Now we have agreed we are going to remove oil and gas as a union matter, and everything else. Now everybody, every part of the union will be responsible for importing its oil. All sides of the union will be responsible for concessioning, licensing for exploration for gas and oil. As far as we are concerned, we are only waiting for the amendment to be added into the constitutional process. Otherwise, it's no longer a subject of dispute now. And then there is Eric.
Yeah.
Beautiful picture of the economy. People will use the shilling, not the dollar. We still use the shilling. The shilling is the currency there. But people are not prevented from earning money. If you want to buy services and you have to pay dollars, we don't prevent you from taking the dollars. Because you know, Tanzania has become a mini Dubai of a sort. I'm honest. Many countries around us come to Dar es Salaam to source their goods and services. And these people don't have the shilling. They come with dollars. We don't prevent people from receiving the dollars. When they deposit them in the banks, people can have dollar accounts. We don't have problems with that. It facilitates trade. But dollar is not the official currency in doing business. But if you want to pay your services in dollars, we don't prevent you. You add more forex to our coffers.
Thank you. Time is almost run out. I'm going to take just 3 questions, and that's it. 1 from the left, 1 from the center, and maybe 2 from the center, because this side of the room is very quiet. So the lady right at the back there, first question.
My name is Eva Murigu. I work for Standard Chartered Bank. Okay, so earlier on this year, we understood that Bank of Tanzania is going to open up its capital account to East African residents so that they can be able to buy into the attractive bond market, because Tanzania has got one of the highest bond yields in East Africa. However, that hasn't happened. That hasn't happened till now, and we thought it would happen by the end of quarter one. Quarter one ends today. So do you have a definite timeline which we can work with so that we can know, when is the right time to get into the Tanzania market?
Thank you very much. Very clever Standard Chartered dotting around the room. That was 2 questions. If you're not from Standard Chartered, keep your hand up. Gentleman here.
Your Excellency, Shikamo. My name is Amar Shangavi. I'm from Tanzania doing a PhD in economics at the LSE. And hence my question is related to economics. You've been talking about the natural gas exploration and the recent discovery. One of the key concerns with any natural resource of such type is the Dutch disease. We have a very small manufacturing base. In the US, they have found a lot of gas due to fracking, and the manufacturing sector there is benefiting from low energy input costs. Whereas in Tanzania, with our base very small, how will we ensure that the manufacturing sector doesn't lose out from an appreciation of the currency? So yeah, just to keep that in mind, I'd like to know your thoughts about it.
Okay, and final question, lady just here. Final question. Please do tell us who you are.
My name is Kirsten. Mheshimiwa Rais, Mawaziri, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank you very, very much. I have enjoyed this tremendously. But I do want to know what mechanisms are going to be put in place so that the average citizens can benefit from the fines of gas, and are we drawing on lessons from other places across the continent of Africa? Shukran.
Thank you very much. The final three questions, Mr. President.
Well, promised to open the capital account. That has not happened. Do you have timelines that Standard Charter can work with? Well, was it on my resort? Yeah. Well, yeah, it is work in progress, but thank you for reminding me. I'll tell the governor of the central bank. Because we've been working on it for quite some time. Of course, there have been a lot of fears. The Southeast Asia issues and so on. You know, we don't want to get to a situation where people come and invest and then take out all the money suddenly and you end up collapsing. We are still a very fragile economy. But we said, but we have to find mechanisms because we cannot continue not to allow people to, we cannot continue not to close the capital account. We have to find ways of dealing with such issues. So, but of course, we have already gone past that. Now we've been working on the modalities. Your guess is as good as mine, but I'll again ask the governor of the central bank on where we are on this exactly. I'll tell him that there is interest in this and people want you to respond quickly. Maybe in the next few months you'll be able to get the appropriate answers when the capital account is made open. Well, our Tanzanian doing PhD in economics, congratulations. I hope after you finish you come back home. Well, we still so short of people to lecture at the universities. You'll definitely get a place there. Yeah. Of course, one, we are aware of the Dutch disease, and we are trying as much as we can to avoid that, so that people should not stop doing other activities and thinking that now we have enough money and everybody stops working on the other time. Of course, the other thing that we are quite keen on is how to use the resources judiciously. Because when you have such huge sums of money, you know, right now we are working on a very tight budget. So if somebody asked me, what is your wish? I said, I wish we could be able to double government revenues. I said, if I can get that double government revenue, I'll turn the country into heaven. Because I have lofty plans, but I'm constrained with resources. But so we'll be going to get a lot of money in the next 5 to 10 years after the LNG terminal has been constructed, and we can now export the gas. But also when the gas from the high seas will now come onshore and be able now to be leveraged into the petrochemical industries and be used for other activities. So we are excited about that stage. But we said, from these huge revenues, now we have got to make sure that we use this money judiciously. And what we're working on now is to establish sovereign funds so that we deposit the money and agree on how much of that money will be spent for the national budget. It is not simply a question of there is already money, and therefore whatever you want to do, just do it, just take the money. We may just finish the money overnight. Because when you have money, the temptation to spend will be there. But we said we must control. We'll agree. We are taking examples from a number of countries. We have been working with the World Bank. DFID has been helping us, the African Development Bank. We have put up together a team that is advising us on that. I think come October we'll have a legislation to establish the modalities of making sure that these resources will be used judiciously. Of course, by the time the money comes, I'll be out of office. But it is a responsibility on my part now to establish the systems. I don't want to get to a point where I leave a problem to the others. The discoveries I made 2010 while I'm in office, I want to create all the systems right. I want to make sure that things are done the way they are supposed to be done. And touch wood, we'll get there. Come October, we'll have to establish the systems. So what do we do to make sure that the manufacturing sector doesn't lose out with appreciation of the currency? Well, we leave it to the economists at that time to see how to manage the currency and how to manage. But I want to give you the assurance that we'll not get into the Dutch disease of neglecting the manufacturing sector or other sectors because we have. The Minister of Energy is here. When are we going to finish the policy and the legislation?
Prof, there's a microphone coming. Yeah.
Yes, with your permission, the policy is already in place. Actually, he can visit the policy document on the website of the ministry or the petroleum company. We are now working on the act, and the draft is at advanced stage. We expect to put it before the parliament in October.
On October.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Professor Muhongo, is the Minister of Energy. So that's the way we advance, but we want to make sure that these resources, these are huge resources. We have 46 trillion cubic feet. It's quite sizable, quite significant resources. And there's going to be a lot of money coming in. So we really have got to make sure that no sharks, we prevent the sharks from taking this money and reaching themselves while the country remains poor. We don't want to get that kind of situation. If a lot of wealth, the public officials and some unscrupulous businessmen get rich where the country remains poor and the people remains impoverished. What mechanisms can citizens benefit? What was the last question?
The last one was, what's the learning from other countries to ensure that there's true poverty reduction? So it's a bit tied to the Dutch disease question, but it's about how to harness the natural resources and other resources of Tanzania for the betterment of the people.
Yeah, of course, this is precisely what I'm saying. We are really learning from the experience of the others, but we are learning from the good examples of how to judiciously use the resources to benefit the country. I think through establishment of sovereign funds and agreeing on the modalities on how much of that will be used in the national budget annually to be able to meet the requirements, the people's requirements for social and economic services, to be able to improve on their health services, their transportation, infrastructure, and so on, to be able to build the capacities for growth of the economy, that shared growth in the economy. I'm sure if the way I'm looking at it, and if all goes well, I'm confident that Tanzania's resources will be utilized judiciously and will benefit everybody, inshallah.
I want to thank all of you for coming today to listen to His Excellency. I want to thank His Excellency for coming back to Chatham House for a second time as President of Tanzania, and indeed for giving the majority of his time for a question and answer session. I think we've got the benefit from that, from your questions. It also shows how diverse and globalize the interesting Tanzania is today. So it's a credit to you in the audience, and thank you for your interest in Tanzania. Finally, I have two things. First is, please, when His Excellency leaves the room with his delegation, if you just stay in your place so His Excellency can leave. But more importantly, let's just show the customary appreciation of His Excellency President Kikwete for his speech and Q&A here at Chatham House. Thank you very much.